Hey, what is going on, guys? It's Eegore here, and in this video what I'm going to be doing is a bit of a Salem discussion more so than a Q&A, because since the game went in open beta, I made a post on the forums where I asked, for Q&A requests, or PM me in the forums or over YouTube or whatever the case may be, and a few people did, and I'm going to go over some things that were brought up that I really thought were good topics to talk about. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new character, and I'm going to discuss how to make a new character and your options in the beginning of the game, things to watch out for, and there's going to be a lot of good stuff we're going to talk about. So as you can see, I've already logged in. This is an alternate account that I have that we will talk about alternate accounts and stuff a little bit later on. But for the beginning of this video, I'm just going to go ahead and click New Character. We're going to make a new character, and the first thing it says is speak to the man in the brown hat. The man in the brown hat is this guy. Right there, the one that says WASD works too, So we're going to talk to this guy. We're going to make sure, I'll go change this. But after you make your character, it says learn the skill childish things. Now, if you are using the normal default client, you will see a menu right about there with all these buttons on it. What you do, and this button is actually blinking, but this is your study menu, and what you do is you just click the study menu, and childish things is blinking, so you just click childish things, click buy, and you learn childish things. Next thing it tells you to do is investigate the chest, and when you right click the chest, it brings up a menu or open window of the inventory in the chest of clothes that you can wear. So we're going to open our inventory, which you can either do by clicking the little bag icon down here, or you can just hit tab and it will bring up your inventory. Now, what you can do to take these clothes out, you can either do this one of two ways. You can click on the boots or whatever and drag them over and click them in your inventory, or you can hold shift and left click, and left click, and that will bring your clothes right over to your inventory, and you don't have to drag and drop. So next thing we have to do is we have to put some clothes on. So we're going to open our character panel, which is right here, equipment, or Control E. So I'm going to hit Control E, and it brings up this window right here, and you can do this the same way. You can click the robes and drag them to the robe slot, or you can shift click. So now that I've put some clothes on, I'm going to actually get rid of the hat so that I can change my hair. And now that you've put some clothes on, you can either do another one of two things. You can give the captain your name, or you can come over to here, and this little tub or bucket of all these different colors will change your hair color, and we'll make it black. We'll just go with black, or yeah, black. And this guy right here says trim your beard here, good sir. So with my character panel open, I can right click him, and it will change your hairstyle, even though he says trim your beard here. I don't know why. Oh well. So we're going to pick a hairstyle that I don't mind. We'll go with, let's see, there's a few to choose from. That works. And then this little, I guess you could say little makeup station, or I don't even know what that is really, but just a mirror with a little desk. If you right click this, you actually change your beard or your facial hair. So I'll change it to, that looks good. So now, I'll put my hat on, so I look super sweet. Not really, but put my hat on, and now you are ready to give the captain your name. So I'm going to name this character, I don't know, Eegorevids, because that's about all I'm going to use this character for. And now it says change your appearance at the barber's, which I already did, previous, so you can wait and do it afterwards. It's all up to you. Or you just right click the boat and it will take you to the screen where you choose your server. Now, this is the part that is kind of interesting about the servers. Is Plymouth is good, but pretty overpopulated. Jamestown is also good, kind of quiet. And Roanoke is another pretty busy one. Actually, I think it's the most busy at the very moment. So, I don't know, let's go to Jamestown. So you you get to Jamestown, and now you are a new character. The only thing it tells you to do is speak with a wilderness guide. But before we do that, I actually want to talk about a few things and the whole purpose for what I'm going to actually discuss in this video. You have a few options. There is no really formal manual or instruction to this game. They just plop you out into the wilderness or plop you into this world with nothing in your inventory, only one skill to learn in the very beginning, and just basically really nothing to do. So, somebody had actually asked what my suggested tech route is for a new player. This is kind of a touchy subject. Being that Salem is a free-to-play, open-world PvP, permadeath, free loot game, which means that you can, if you die, you will be dead forever. Your character doesn't come back, so be careful. You have to really keep in mind that you will die and you will be gone forever. Dying, in my opinion, is extremely difficult to do. If you go raiding and you raid somebody's hermitage, or, you just walk up on somebody that you don't know and they're violent, or they're hostile, I should say, there's probably a good chance that they're going to kill you. Now, you have to bear that in mind when thinking about the tech route as a new player. There are several technology routes, as I guess, this person asked. There are several technology routes that you can take. Now, it really just depends on what you want to do. Salem, I can't put enough emphasis on this, that Salem is a sandbox open world game. You can do whatever you want. The best thing about Salem is that you create your own game. You don't really have, the game doesn't have an end. It doesn't have, a storyline. It doesn't have a lot of things that force you to do things. So really, if you wanted to and you said, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to walk around this area in a town claim and pick up stuff and craft stuff and do whatever, then do it. It's completely up to you. There is no huge purpose to this game. Do whatever you want to do. So with that said, the tech routes that you can take, I can't really show on this character because he's obviously a new character. You can do many things. You can be a farmer, you can be a miner, you can be a crafter, you can be a builder, you can be a carpenter. Eventually, in the most recent live stream that C-Tribe did, they announced that you could be, eventually they're going to make priests available. You'll be able to be a priest, you'll be able to be a witch. There's tons of things that you can do in this game. Obviously, it takes work to get there. You do have to put a lot of hours into it and really do your homework and your research before making that kind of, decision on what you want to do. But you can do many things. To ask how many viable alternate playstyles that I think there are, really your playstyles are endless. I've created several new characters. I've created and leveled several new characters all the way to a point of where I'm pretty self-sufficient. I can farm, I can, not necessarily mine, but I can farm. I can basically do whatever I want to do. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. In the very beginning of the game, something so trivial as lighting a fire is going to take you probably, unless you do your homework, probably a good hour, 2 hours, maybe even 3 hours to figure out how to do it. You have to know what things are, you have to know what to pick, what not to pick, what to care about, what not to care about, and what things to pass up and what things not to pass up. So, really, every time I've started a new character, it's a new experience all over again because I can take my character in a multitude of different ways. Eventually, usually, I'll end up going back to being an all-around kind of jack of all trades. I'm good at everything, master of none. So, you can really do whatever you want. You can take whatever route in the very beginning, whether it be combat or hunting or leather worker, carpenter, miner, farmer, anything you want to do. If you're playing with friends, do a little research. Discuss it with them first before choosing what you want to do. Hey, well, obviously we shouldn't do the same things because there's so many things to do. What do you think we should do? And I was playing with a few people and we had this discussion. And what ends up happening when you do the same things is you'll start noticing that one of you gets better at something than the other person, and the other person doesn't feel as useful, and then you both end up getting mad because your one buddy doesn't want to play anymore, which makes you not want to play anymore, and then you end up leaving, or, it's too hard, or whatever, whether it be you just got bored or you got mad. You have to do your research or homework before playing the game. There are many, many places, links in the description. I usually try and put the links in the description as much as I can for whatever topics I'm talking about. There is a Wikipedia, there is a forum, there's the Salem IRC, which I've said in a few other videos, and if you're a new player just looking into playing this game, those are all resources that you should go to ask your questions, to figure things out, and to do your homework. Because if you just jump into this game just full bore, not really knowing what you want to do, how you want to play, you're going to jump into this saying, what do I do? I don't get it. And that's the point. You're not supposed to get it. There is no getting it to Salem. The point of Salem, survive, craft, grow. That is it. Is to survive, level your character, get stronger, start hunting, make food, get your farms, get your mines, and then go from there. Somebody actually sent me another request that said, people keep saying that Salem is farm to win, and I agree with this, and I disagree with this in certain aspects or another. The reason why it is farm to win is because the only real purity in the game right now, which you'll have to look at some of the other videos or look it up because purity is going to take me a while to explain, but basically, TLDR for purity is the better purity you have, the better your items get. So farming is really the only thing that has a true purity for food. So if you farm and you get your purity up, you get better foods, you can get better humors, which are these little bars up here. You can get better humors, you can make your character stronger, you can kill more, animals and hunt more, crickets and rabbits and stuff like that. So in a way it is farm to win. However, the game is yours to choose. You can do whatever you want to do in Salem, so there is really no winning. If you want to play just casual and don't really feel like being hardcore, there is a certain dedication that you do have to the game, because you can't just make a settlement and expect it to be there 2 months later when you log on. It will probably have decayed and your claim will be dropped and you'll have been raided. So there is a small amount of dedication, but it's not a whole lot. When you first start out the game, maybe you don't want to join a village, or you just want to hermit, you just want to play with your friends and do your own thing. Totally okay. Don't feel any sort of pressure about joining a village or anything like that, because a lot of times what I see tend to happen is people will join a village being new, and the village kind of bosses them around, and they're like, well, I don't like this game because now I just got somebody telling me what to do, and it feels more like a job than a game, which is totally okay to feel that way. So if you just want to play play by yourself with a friend, then do it. I mean, the game is yours to choose what you do. So if you don't want to join a village, then don't join a village. There is a little bit more finesse to joining a village, over playing by yourself, because playing by yourself takes you a lot longer to do things. You're not quite as safe. If you get raided or killed, there are disadvantages, but there are advantages. And the advantages are that you might have more fun choosing your own game instead of playing in a game that somebody else has already created. So, you got to really think about what you want to do before you play. And I can't emphasize that enough. Now, also, if you don't want to join a village, then there's plenty of other things to do. However, you have to consider a lot of things like, for instance, where do you want to settle? Who do you want to be around? What do you want to be around? And how do you want to play the game? There are many, many places that you can choose to settle in this game, and a lot of them have different opportunities all the way around. You've probably been watching me walk around and collect these flint stones and smooth stones and stuff like that, all just around the hometown area, the safe zone, if you will. And the reason I'm doing that is because if I study one of these smooth stones, I will be able to learn my first skill, survival skills. So that now I'm well on my way to learning more skills, to getting more things to craft, making more things, and going from there. So you can play, by yourself. It's not really that big of a deal, but you have to think of other things like how many other people have been playing for longer than you have, how stronger other people are, or how much stronger other people are, and the other aspects and mechanics of the game. The game itself is huge. I mean, I spent the better part of, on my other character on Jamestown, I think I spent the better part of 12, 15 hours just walking in the wilderness, west, north. I walked about four hours west. I walked a few hours north, and then I went east and went back south and just walked around and gathered things like I'm doing now. Crafted stuff, built stuff. I would stop for, maybe a day or two in game. I would make a little, liquid settlement that I didn't care about just to craft, a whittler's bench, make a few inspirationals, and just kind of level my character that way. Through doing this, I got, farming, baking, sewing. I got my character pretty well leveled to a point where I could settle down when I found a spot without having to worry about anything. I literally got to a point where I made a settlement where I found was suited, and I never had a settlement before this. Just simply from walking around, collecting inspirationals, finding things, and making things. I just kept doing it, and that to me, in my personal opinion, is the funnest part about this game, is just crafting things and building things and doing, whatever. Now, there are other aspects of the game that aren't so good, and that's the permadeath open world PvP. You have to be careful, you have to be on your guard at all times. Don't log out and or don't stay in game and then go get a sandwich, or go make a phone call and call your mom or whatever. Don't do that, because I've seen it time and time again where somebody says, I was only gone for 5 minutes getting a sandwich and I come back and I'm dead. That's why. Don't log. Every time you go to leave your computer, log out. There is an extreme danger to this game that also goes along with the fun of it. So the fun of it is crafting, building, evolving, growing, meeting new people, getting into the community. The dangerous part of the game is open world PvP, permadeath, all the dangerous things about the game that affect, your play style. So you got to think about that kind of stuff. And you have to think about that when finding a place to settle. When you find a place to settle, it's always a good idea to look around before you actually settle. Walk, an hour north, an hour south. I'll show you here in a minute, which we're going to get to after I, get my survival skills and I start up here. I'll get to it, in a minute, as far as what it takes to look around and why you should look around, because what ends up happening, and I see tons and tons of people doing, is they'll just use the wilderness guide to port randomly somewhere out in the wilderness, and unbeknownst to them, they have a very, very strong player living 5 minutes west of them, and they end up getting raided, and their base gets destroyed, and guess what? Then they get mad, they quit, so on and so forth. So it's very important to think about different things that you do before doing them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to Jamestown, sorry. I'm going to go back to Jamestown, and I'm going to explain basically how the starting out with the wilderness guide works. You can start out one of two ways. You can either walk all the way out to a settlement and just do what I did and just walk in a direction for, 10, 12 hours or whatever and do it that way, or you can actually just use the wilderness guide. They have changed the wilderness guide since closed beta, so all the people out there that haven't played yet, be glad, because they made it so that you could actually port to the wilderness guide you could port 5 times. So to save us all some time, and I don't really care about the stuff that I have in my inventory that much, I'm going to make this rock maracas, or no, not this, make the taste of the new world, or whatever, hold on, make the, I'm lost, taste of the new world, yeah. So I got the granite, this is stone, so you can use granite as a stone. You can use it takes a flint, a piece of grass, and a branch. So we're going to craft that up, and I'm going to study it just to study it. and get it out of my inventory, and actually it gives me law and lore, so I need that for colonial tradesmanship. I will get rid of my smooth stone, congratulations whoever finds it, and my 4 flint, and I will travel. Actually, you know what? Never mind, I forgot that I'm on Boston or Jamestown territory, so I can actually just travel right back to Jamestown because I'm still on the town claim. So if you go to the wilderness guide, which looks like these plain little gray-faced people, you click on them. It says, "Will you be led into the wild yonder, pilgrim? Know that doing so will make you a new homestead, and that is a one-time offer." Well, it's a one-time offer, but you can do it 5 times, if that makes any sense. Anyway, you can either do that, or if you already have a friend that's playing that has a established settlement already, you can ask them for their homestead secret, and then you hit enter, and you can port to them. But I don't, so I'm just going to go, okay. Now, this ported me to a forest area, I guess, and immediately, as soon as I get here, I notice 2 things. There is a tree cut down that looks like it's been cut down for a while, because the tree actually turned into a hollow stump. So this tree has been here for a while, but there is a whittler's bench sitting right there. So somebody has been here. Somebody has been in this area. So just because, we're going to go somewhere else. So we're going to try again. Click try again. And now, ooh, look at this. Now we are in the Coniferous Forest. And Coniferous forests are very good for a lot of things. There's an abundance amount of animals and mushrooms and chestnuts and things that you can really use in this game to level your character. However, the Coniferous Forest is a very it's a very well-known place to be, so be careful before you kind of choose to be here. You know, walk a little bit here and there, and you know, just kind of check it out. Make sure that there's no settlements nearby. It looks like I got a clay pit here. I got some stone, some water, and that's cool. I mean, that's really good. However, on the topic of water being right here, that's another thing you have to think about as well. It's always a good rule of thumb to try not to live next to large bodies of water. When you live next to a large body of water, people can, or raiders, if you will, can come up on boats and destroy your settlement, and they can raid you and basically wipe you off the map right from a lake or a large body of water. So avoid living next to a large body of water if at all possible. You know, just maybe 5-10 minutes away from it. You can always go back to Boston or Jamestown, sorry. You can always go back to Jamestown if you need water, or your home city. It's not too huge of a deal to have to live right next to a lake. However, I'm going to stay here. This is fine. Stay in the in the Coniferous Forest. And now that I'm here, I can start my adventure. I can do whatever I want. You know, check out all these stumps, because you do find really nice stuff in these sometimes. You actually find snake skins. You'll find inspirationals, abandoned cobwebs. Just, they're always worth checking, because you will find stuff in them pretty frequently if you check them all. So now that I'm out in the wilderness, I have several things that I can choose to do. I mean, I can walk away like I'm doing now and just walk and find a suitable place to settle and learn some skills and do the normal thing, and you know, whatever. By the way, I just happened to notice that my black bile up here is at 0, which means my studying is not going to go anywhere. So let's eat these blackberries. And the black bile is directly connected to your studying speed and, you know, your ability to place objects, etc., etc. I'm not going to go into a huge amount of the details of the mechanics, mainly because I do have videos about this already. So if you do want to know a little bit more about a lot of the aspects in the game, check out more of my videos. I have a lot of them. So I'm not going to go over everything, you know, 100%. So now that I'm walking away, we can talk about a few other things that make Salem what it is. First of all, when you're out in a place like this, let's say you walk and you learn some skills and you're getting stronger and you're having a good time, and you find this grassland right in between. You know, there's a lime pit right next to it, and there's maybe a body of water 10 minutes east or west, and it just looks perfect, but it looks like it's been abandoned. So you say, well, sweet, I can just get in here and just start crafting at this base. Make sure you think about that decision before you make it. Walk around for maybe an hour in each direction again to see exactly who's around you, because you have to think that that settlement may have just been abandoned by a player that doesn't play anymore, or that player may have been killed by another player. So yeah, just make sure you figure out why that settlement was abandoned. Think about that before you decide to do it. So just pay attention, make sure you're thinking, just use your head. Use your common sense, use your judgment, and try and do your best to, to learn and to do your homework and figure things out. And that's the beauty of the game, is figuring things out and figuring out what to do and how to craft and, where to live. And it's all about trial and error. Maybe you might say, oh, this place looks great, but I wish it had more of this. Well, now if you say, I wish it had more of this, then maybe you should move, check out a different place, try something new, and see where that takes you. And then people that are seeking interaction or the multiplayer aspect of the game need to think about where they're going to do it. Salem is not like World of Warcraft, or it's not like, a lot of MMOs out there. Just because they say it's an MMO does not necessarily mean that it's, hugely, massively multiplayer. You're going to have this sweet, awesome experience with friends, and you're going to meet all these cool people and, develop guilds and go do cool stuff. People that want social interactions should go to the forums, which is forums.salemthegame.com, and go there, and when you make your account for the first time, your account is automatically tied to the forum. So you use the same credentials for your account in the forums, and it's already made, it's already there. That's it. You don't have to worry about anything else. And there's also the IRC. There is, tons of places that you can go to be social. Try to avoid walking up onto some random player's settlement with them inside of it, and try and avoid that bear over there that is going to aggro me if I get any closer. Just avoid stuff that could be potentially dangerous. There are many things in Salem that are good and many things in Salem that are bad, and you have to take them both with a grain of salt. Don't expect to come into this game and be your hand held the whole way, and the game tells you what to do and who to talk to and what skills to learn. That's not the point of Salem. That is completely opposite of the point, actually. The point in Salem is to do your own thing, make the game experience for yourself. You want to start a role-playing guild with a bunch of your friends, start a role-playing guild. If you want to just hermit and play the game on your own and meet people and maybe join a village later on after you get a little bit more familiar with the game, then do that. Just do your homework before playing the game, because, there are pros and cons. It is very dangerous, it is very time-consuming, it's slow-paced, but also very innovative and fun. Once you start figuring it out, and you figure out, okay, well, I make a fire, and then I learn this skill and that skill, and now I can hunt and fish and do all this stuff, and now my buddy wants to play, and he wants me to make a new character with him. Don't be afraid to make a new character, because you'll learn, after doing it a couple of times, how much faster you get after playing this a couple of times. And oh, look at that, perfect example. Abandoned cobweb I found in a stump, 1750 frontier and wilderness, 450 hunting and gathering, 2000 thread and needle, so on and so forth. Really good, inspirational. Keep an eye out, checking stumps, they're really useful. Anyway, so just make sure that you just do your homework, do your research. I had a friend of mine, in real life, he was really interested in playing Salem, so I went over there, I helped him get it all set up and hooked up, and I got him the Eegore's Client and so on and so forth. By the way, I got a whole video for Eegore's Client as well. So I got him all set up, I showed him the basics, the 101s, the same thing I'm showing you guys, and then I told him the same things that I'm telling you guys. I showed him the 101, I got him a little settlement set up, I showed him how to make a fire and how to do this, that, and the other. And I did it, and I got him up to fishing, foraging, I got him self-defense, colonial tradesmanship. I showed him the whole 9 yards. He texts me the next day, or calls me rather, and says, I don't know what to do, I'm lost. I said, how are you lost? He says, I don't get it. he said, you made a fire and did all this stuff in 20 minutes, and I have been trying to figure this out and looking on the forums and can't figure out what buttons to push. And so I did it in 20, 30 minutes, and it took him, he couldn't figure it out at all. And that's because it's a very difficult game to learn at first, but because it's so difficult, you remember it very, very easily. So just like I said, try and give it your all. When you think about playing it, make sure that when you think about it, that just make sure that you go into it assuming that it's a very slow-paced game. It is not action-packed. This isn't God of War, or this isn't, one of those action-packed hack-and-slash games. It isn't World of Warcraft. It isn't a typical MMO. It is a very slow-paced, relaxing, in my opinion, yeah, I said relaxing, experience. And once you figure it out and once you stick through it, you will start learning that you find action in places in this game that you never thought you would find in another game ever. When you first make that first fire, or you build your first house and it's nice and shiny and you're like, I did it. I figured it out. I did it. And then when your friend says, how in the world do I do this? You go, oh, I just did that the other day. This is how you do it. The more times you do it, the faster you get, and it becomes easier and it becomes more fun. So, if you stuck around to the end of this rant or this discussion, I appreciate it. Hopefully, maybe I might have been able to clear up a few things for you. And once again, if you have any questions, feel free, leave a comment in the box down below, or shoot me a message on the forums or anything. If you have any questions, like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter. You can ask me a lot of questions there. Just do your homework, and if you have a question, don't feel stupid asking. The only stupid question in Salem is the question that isn't asked. So even if you say, I can't figure out how to do this, if you say it on the forums, chances are you're probably going to get trolled by a few people saying, go here, why didn't you read the Wikipedia first? Well, maybe you didn't know about it. Maybe you couldn't figure out how to get there. Things happen. So if you have any questions, let me know. Hopefully I cleared a few things up, and thank you again for sticking around to the end of this. If you did, I appreciate it. And as always, thanks for watching.